This time on the Random Junk channel, we have another completely functional one that we're going to open up to show you how to get to the motor. Excuse me. A little dusty. This came from my display. I'm showing you that it's fully functional. I'm going to turn the volume down. I don't listen to the volume anyhow. I've seen some people are having issues with getting in to replace this motor when it quits spinning. I don't know either, so we're going to find out together. Doing a closer inspection of this thing, oh my god. I've never paid attention to it up close. It sits in my display. Besides the 10 pounds of dust I had to knock off of it. I noticed the sign's crooked and that booth was glued in at an angle. I don't know if they're all like that or what, but my gosh, people. And I'm referring to the people at Lemax. So, anyhow, let's take a look at this thing. This is a porcelain house. I know the mechanism is going to be either in the top or it's going to have a drive mechanism that gets to the top via a shaft of some sort. So I'm not sure. So I'm going to take a peek inside. There's the spinning wheel. Yeah, I see all the mechanisms in the top, so it looks like you got to take off the bottom. Awesome. And the mechanisms are held in by a screw behind this sign, which means that sign comes off. There's two screws. I'll show you. See? Screw one, screw two. And there's none in the back. It doesn't even have that fake panel they put on to cover the screws on a lot of these porcelain houses. So it looks like we have a issue with getting to it. So I'm just looking to see if there's any separation seams on the inside. Everything appears to go behind the theater sign with the different vampires on it. I doubt you can access it through the windows. It's not two pieces of ceramic like some houses are, where they'll take two pieces of ceramic and glue them and then put a paint to paint the seal. They put like a thick coat of paint. You see nothing of the sort. I don't think taking out the skylight's going to do anything. You can see the LED in there. So this one might be a little bit of a process. So let's figure it out together. First I'm going to do, take the tower out. Let's see. So this sign is fiber optic. I don't know if you saw that, but these little things are fiber optics. And this black stem, right, magnetic flashlight right there, is the fiber optic tube, because when it's on you can see the green fiber optics light up inside the porcelain. And the sign appears that it separates possibly in two places. Looks like it might separate right here, right where it meets the edges of the marquee, or right here against the porcelain itself, because there's glue here, and there's glue here, and here, and here, and on the bottoms. I don't see anything on the top. I do see glue on the top on the outer edges. And then that's it. Because these are resin and this is plastic. So definitely need to glue it, because you really can't cast resin in the porcelain or ceramics. So let's set it on its back and let's attack it like most of them from the bottom. Because of its age, I'm going to assume the mat will come right off. If yours doesn't, apply heat. Because this is 16 years old. It's a 2007 piece. And even though mine never see storage, the only time I ever saw anything remotely close to storage is when I moved. And they pretty much got put back in their boxes, put in a truck, brought to the new place, and then stacked in the front room where my display is. So they really don't experience anything bad as far as temperature wise. Storage is the worst thing that these things can handle or take, and that's because that's when they break. And that's because the temperature rise. I know you might be thinking, oh, where I live it only gets up to like 80 or 90. Well, in your storage it gets up to like 120 to 150. So my mat just peeled right off. So hopefully yours does too. And there's the bottom. So you can see the stamping. This is Lemax 2007. That's how I knew the year. Here's the plastic insert for most of the electronics and mechanism. Mechanism for the not mechanism, circuit board, electronic circuit board, and your power and switch plug. The glue is yellowed, so most likely it's going to just pop right off. So I'm just going to put a little pressure with a small screwdriver to get into the nooks and crannies of the glue and see what we can do. You can use a foam mat on yours. You can get the sound deadening foam. I'll go ahead and do that just to help preserve mine. I only take mine apart when they break or in cases when somebody needs assistance and I have the same piece. So the only spot that I'm having an issue is right here, and that's where there's wires that go up to the lights that are here and here. So just got to be careful with that so we don't break the wiring. I mean, I can fix it, but you know, the less damage the better. So I can put this thing back in my display. So I'm just going to chisel off some of the glue, and then we're going to break some of the glue off with a pair of snips, and hopefully not catch a wire in it. There we go. So there's a theater. Oh, that's interesting. You'd think, because that's all you can see from the back, that they wouldn't have full bodies. Check that out. They actually put full bodies on these guys. And they even contoured the seats so they look like real seats. Not bad. That's amazing. There's the innards. There's the motor. Hopefully you can see it right there, that shiny silver thing towards the top of your screen. And you can see the two bars that go forward. Those big fat bars there and there are what the screws are attached to. And then the white wires that are down there go to the LED that is green that runs the front marquee. And then this black and white wire go to the LED in the ticket booth. So to get to those screws, now we're going to have to separate this. I'm going to assume because of his age I might be able to flex it and get it to pop free. If not, I will apply heat. If you're concerned, just apply heat to yours. But be careful, this is plastic. Heat can cause it to warp and or melt. You're not going to hurt the ceramic as much as you will the plastic and resin. They have a much lower threshold. So I'm just working it back and forth. I got one corner to break free. And there is some wires in here as well. Where's that? Let's just double check one thing before I decide to pop it all the way off. Okay. The wires I see is because I didn't pay attention that these light up. So I'm probably going to leave the marquee and break them free from the edges now. So same thing, because of its age, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to poke and prod and see if there's enough age deterioration on the adhesive to where I can just pop it off. Like that. And again, if you don't feel comfortable, use heat. Which this one might have to be heated, maybe. This one might have to be heated up, but there we go. All right, so you got wires going in because you got light there, you got light inside on both sides. There's your fiber optic with the LED that is glued into the fiber optic. But you don't have to take it all the way off because now I have access to those 2 screws. So next step is we're going to take those 2 screws out. But first, I'm going to take a still shot of the face just in case I have a problem. And then there's the light for the ticket booth I was telling you about. Alright. I'm going to tip the sign. Might be good, might be free. No, I haven't dropped it all the way. So the screws are sticking up. Might be able to see it better that way. The screws are sticking up, but they're not unscrewed all the way. Apparently these are really long screws. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing the mechanism up with my fingers on my left hand, and then I'm unscrewing it to the right. And now the mechanism drops. And now we just got to carefully walk it out without breaking all the wires or getting it caught on all the other wires. There's a lot of wires. There's an LED that's attached to the circuit board that's grabbing all the wires as I'm trying to pull it out. Once I get it out, I'll show you what I'm talking about as far as the LED. The LED is acting like a scoop and it's grabbing everything that's possibly in the way. And there's your mechanism. And that's the LED. It's pointing straight down. That's what illuminates these guys. And there's your spinning disc with your ghost or ghoul, bat, spider, wolf, man, skull, creature of some sort, pumpkin, and my disc is loose. The screw is backing out, so while I have it out, I'm going to see about tightening that up a little. There. And this is also how you access your belt, which is around this big pulley. I'm going to check mine since it's 13 years old. And mine's still really pliable because, again, I don't put it out in the heat. So here's all your circuitry. Your circuitry is held on with 2 screws, which my 2 screws are, again, loose, probably from age and vibration. So I'm just going to tighten them down a little bit. So my board doesn't rock. Should still have good clearance on everything. Yep. And the gears, they're all right in here. I'm just doing a quick examination of them. They appear to be good, and they appear to be standard, which means if they break, a standard gear kit that I always link in my videos that require gears will take care of your gear needs. Yeah, they're all standard. There's no specialty gears in there. So that's a positive. And you have a screw right here, and then you have 2 screws right there. And looks like you have a screw right here behind this disc. Let's verify. I know I just tightened the disc, but this is going to help you if you have to take this thing apart. Also help me in the future if I have to take it apart. Yep. You have 2 screws. One there, one there. So you will have to take the disc out to unscrew this so you can get to the motor that's underneath it. The motor is an SRF 300 CA or RF without the S, 300 CA, 11,400 RPM motor. It's between 3 and 6 volts on average is what it says for its run. And your best bet is to find them on eBay or Amazon. I usually put links below, but sometimes the manufacturers run out. They're not that expensive. On average, depending on the quantity you buy, they're between $2.50 and $7. And usually you get like 2 at a time. So, but that is how you open up the Rigor Mortis Theater. It is a moderate difficulty, meaning you're going to have to be able to do a few things that you may not want to do, like break all the glue off of the front sign and not break the front sign. Right now I'm just going to peel off some of this hard glue so I can glue this thing back together, because I don't need all this in there anymore. I'm going to put fresh glue on it. And just use hot glue, don't use anything specific like super glue. So I'm going to clean this back up and reassemble. Reassembly is opposite, so we set this back inside here. Careful not to break the wires. I want to just get a picture of the circuit board in case I do break any wires. There's 2 circuit boards in here too, just so you know. There's one right here, which has the blob chip, and then there's the wired light distribution board right there in the corner. So I usually take pictures just in case, and before I put it back together, I want to get a picture just in case. And then the hard part's going to be lining this thing back up to get these 2 screws back in their appropriate bosses. Because they got to go into that. So I'm going to switch hands so I can aim better with my right to get it lined up than I can with my left. And that's for 2 reasons. 1, I'm right-handed, and 2, I'm not wearing a watch on my right hand. I got it in the cup. Now I just need to get it all the way to the bottom where the nut is. There we go. So it's in, but it won't come back out. So that means this one will be easier to align. All I got to do is just twist it back and forth until I get that cup lined up, which looks like it is right there. And then drop that inside. And then try and wiggle it around until it hits the bottom where the nut is pressed into the plastic, which should be right there. I'm going to use a longer screwdriver just so I don't keep smacking the teeth and potentially breaking one. One, that one's snug. Now let's snug up this guy. Get my hand back out. Now, this has a better tip, so I'm just going to make sure they're snug. Snug and snug. Sometimes when you snug one, the other one will get loose. Why is this one spinning now? There we go. Now it's tight. So apparently it was just caught on the threads. And I'm going to hot glue all this back together. I'm not going to use the hard glue like they did. But what I want to do is make sure it still works. Because anytime you screw with something, you risk breaking something. But at least you can try and fix it. So I'm checking all my lights. So my green lights work, my sound works. Let's turn that back off. My orange ends work. The purple lights work. My marquee or wheel is spinning. My internal orange backlight works. One there, and one there. My ticket booth light's on. And the bright white light that illuminates the characters inside is working. So we're good there. It's right there, as you can see. And yeah, so now it's just put this back in, clean up all the glue, and even the lights behind the tombstone here is all light. So, and that one too. So all the lights are working. We know the sound's working. The motion's working. So we're good. So it's another shorter video. I'm pretty sure you can figure out how to put it back together. I'm going to clean up the bad glue, the old yellow glue. I'm going to take it all off. I'm going to use hot glue to reassemble it. Then I'm going to use some Gorilla Spray adhesive on the mat and the base. And then I'm going to stick them back together, wait a few minutes, then stick them together, then wait a few minutes, and then put this back in my display. So, again, that's how you take apart the Rigor Mortis Theater. Wow. It's been a long day at work, like 12 hours, and I'm doing all this to relax. So, process. Pull the bottom off. May have to use heat. Because of its age, probably not. Once you get the bottom off, pull the bottom out, or the center section out, the seats. Same thing. May have to use heat because of the age, probably not. Be careful of the light wires that go right here, because these all were caught on mine. This side wasn't caught. This side was. You can see the glob of glue. So watch your light wires, because you have a glue joint there, a glue joint here, and a glue joint here. Once you do that, then pull this out. Once this is pulled out, break the marquee sign free. The easiest place to break it free is don't try and pull out the center as I was trying to do until I realized that there's lights in here because I forgot. Break the glue free so that the whole thing comes out. When you break it free, you see it's got two protrusions. Those protrusions are what holds this in alignment. So it's going to make it a lot easier to put together, because if it slides together, it doesn't fall back out even with no glue. So if yours is a tight fit, like this is, you may not need to re-glue it in. Recommended? Sure. Required? Not really. Unless you plan on grabbing it by the sign. Oh, then definitely glue it in. Once you do that, pull the sign out and then unscrew those two screws. Use two hands so you can support the mechanism inside, because the circuit board, the main circuit board that runs everything, is attached to the back. So whichever is your dominant hand is the one I'd use for the screws, and the non-dominant hand for the innards, unless you are like me, where I have more control with the screws with my right hand than my left, and also the watch, which I rarely take off. And that's not because I want to know what time it is, it's because it actually monitors my health. So it's not just a watch. But anyhow, once you do that, pull the mechanism out the bottom. Careful of that stupid white LED grabbing all this rat's nest of wiring, because there is no wire management in here. Probably because they didn't care. You're not supposed to fix them, and it's hidden behind the screen right there. So you don't see it. So honestly, it's just a waste of time if they did it. More time means more money. More money means a higher markup when it hits the shelves back in 2007. And then, and again, that's the white LED that was catching everything. Once you get it out, you have plenty of room to work on it. Just be careful that you don't break the wires. Take a picture of the wires. Be careful. You want to know where those wires go in case you do break one or break one free of the circuit board. That way you glue it, or excuse me, solder it back on. And then once you fix your motor, belt, gear, multiple, depending on what's wrong, reverse the process. Reassemble your section, and then slide it back in, 2 hands, one on the top, screws to hold it in the center. Those cups are great because they help get the screw in alignment. Then once you get it down inside, all you need to do is line it up to the first thread and then get one in the majority of the way and leave a couple threads so you have slack on the other side so you can walk it into place, because you can cock it at an angle if you tighten one first and not the other. So you want to, you know, like I did, go back and forth as you saw until they were both snug. Don't over torque it, because if you do, you risk breaking either the plastic but most likely the porcelain. Because those nuts are recessed into the plastic, they're captured nuts, they will provide a lot more tension than just screwing it into plastic. And because this porcelain is technically brittle compared to the plastic, you're probably going to crack the porcelain if you torque it. Just make them where they don't turn anymore. If you're afraid of them backing out, put a drop of hot glue on the threads just before you torque it all the way down. The hot glue will hold it from backing out, because all my screws were loose, and it'll prevent you from having the ability of having to try and crack it really hard to get it to come free. The hot glue will separate much easier than like super glue. You can even use Elmer's white glue, or Mod Podge or whatever. Just don't use anything like Gorilla Glue or super glue when you put it back together. All my screws were loose, as you saw. My circuit board screws were loose, my wheel was loose, and even those 2 screws in the front were loose. And that's probably from age. Age and use. It vibrates, it spins. It's also called thermal expansion or thermal contraction. This has been in my house and my previous residence for, well, about 16 years. And, you know, in the summer, the house is a little warmer. In the winter, the house is a little cooler, or vice versa, depending on how high or low the AC/heat is set. And moisture. Things like that can affect how tight something is. But once that's done, slide that back in, and then glue it all back together. And then I'm going to use, like I said, a spray adhesive, which I'll link below in the description so you know what I use. And if you want to buy a can, thank you. I'm not sponsored by Gorilla. But other than that, that is your theater. Hopefully your theater isn't as crooked as mine. I never paid attention to it. I thought it was so cool when it came out, but I never paid attention to how crooked this is. And I don't think they were going for it, because everything else is pretty symmetrical, but that's horrible. I do not like how off-kilter that is, and so is that. But this could be repaired by breaking it free and fixing it. This one looks a little harder because the stands are glued into holes that are pre-made. So, yeah, it is what it is. So we'll call it a 10-foot piece. It looks great from 10 feet. But from 10 inches, you're going to see the defects. But it's a cool piece. If you have one, hopefully this will help you take it apart and fix it. It's not too bad. Just be careful of the wiring. It's the biggest issue. And don't damage the blob chip. So if yours is loose and you tighten the circuit board down, don't over torque it and crack anything on the circuitry. Other than that, I'm going to now clean this up. You've seen me many a times glue things in if you've watched multiple of my videos. So we're going to leave it here. I'm going to clean this thing up, put it back together, put it back on my display. So until the next one, thanks for watching.